Welcome back to the Empowered Exit Podcast. Retire boldly, live fully, and leave a legacy. I'm your host, Rita Oliver, the money strategist, the CEO and president of Strategies, Options, and Solutions. I am a corporate retirement and federal government consultant and corporate and federal government educator. And I'm also a retirement planning coach, helping those high earners to close those gaps and leaks and create a plan for one of life's most important transitions, retirement. At
Mhm.
SOS, around here, we believe in one simple truth that if you can plan it, you can build it, and you can live it with confidence. If you're new to the podcast, make sure you subscribe and please share this episode with someone who's ready to step into clarity and confidence in the new year. As I promised, January and February, we are having the expert led conversations in the areas where you all are getting stuck, you're overwhelmed, and you're blindsided because you're somewhat unprepared. And my goal is to bring awareness to these topics so that you can navigate them and not continue to encounter them quietly.
Mhm.
Remember, as I've always said, when you get the right information, the right support, and the right strategy, it can change everything. Today's conversation is one that goes beyond budgets, spreadsheets, and retirement timelines because financial empowerment begins in the mind long before it shows up in your bank account. I'm joined by a powerful life coach who specializes in helping people shift their beliefs, attitudes, and internal narratives that shape how they approach retirement, life, career transitions, opening a business, managing a business. So, we're going to be digging today into the mindset blocks that quietly hold people back, like fear,
Mhm.
scarcity thinking, lack of confidence, and how these patterns influence financial decisions and life decisions we make. This isn't just about restructuring your finances, it's about reinventing how you see yourself, your future, and what's possible for your life. When you cultivate gratitude, confidence, and vision, you don't just retire, you rise. You don't just plan, you expand.
Mhm.
And you don't just exit, you exit empowered. My guest today is Rhonda Oliver Cummings, a dynamic executive leader, DEIB advocate, and small business strategist. She's the president and CEO of Synergy Management Solutions, where she equips entrepreneurs and diverse businesses with the tools and cultural intelligence they need to compete and thrive in the corporate and federal marketplaces. Rhonda is also the founder of the Blended Branches podcast, a platform exploring how families, communities, and organizations grow, heal, and lead across generations. A nationally respected facilitator and speaker, Rhonda is known for bridging the gap between corporations, government agencies, prime contractors, and minority owned businesses. Her work strengthens supplier diversity, expands opportunity, and elevates the next generation of leaders. She also serves as president and executive director of the Maconite Foundation, continuing her family's legacy for preparing students for purpose driven futures. Rhonda's mission is very simple and powerful: changing minds, changing lives, and changing generations. Please join me in welcoming a true bridge builder, culture shifter, and generation impact strategist, my cousin, my Delta soror,
Mhm.
Rhonda Oliver Cummings.
Awesome. Well, greetings, greetings, greetings. It gives me such great pleasure to be on this podcast with my, again, cousin, first cousin, sorority sister, and someone that we grew up together. And
Yes,
so this is it for such a time as this. I told
yes,
Rita, I said, this is a conversation because we've been leading up to this from our family. Think about it. If you think about how we would gather in the mighty Macon, Mississippi, and our roots are from there, and it comes and stems from the mindset. Today's topic is about mindset shifts for empowering living, where our family, our parents, our grandparents, and I was blessed to know, I believe you did on your mom's side, know my great grandparents. And
yes,
so we talk about the branches, we talk about the mindset. The mindset is really a space. It's a space where we challenge in where we think, where we have interruptions because life is full of life interruptions. The
Yes.
mindset is really stemming from, you talked about how I'm part of the blended branches, founding of the blended branches. That came about because, like you and I, we're from the same branch.
Yes.
We're from the same branch, and each of us took something from that Oliver branch. Think about that. Our
Yeah.
mindset, our branch, the garden, the whole 9 yards. And then on your mom's side, on my mom's side. So you have to first start. Everything starts with the mind. Where the
Absolutely.
mind goes, the body will
Absolutely.
follow. And so you can either be a builder or a blocker.
Wow, I love that. I
Uh-huh.
love that.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
You be a
that.
builder or blocker, Rita, because it stems from whatever was poured into you, right? Into your mind. And all of us come from a bloodline, brokenness, baggage, and blendedness. And that's where the blended branch comes from. So we didn't pick our parents. We didn't pick our bloodline. And so because of that, now what we have to do is find that branch that is a better mindset for us, because all of us come from the baggage, the brokenness, the whole 9 yards. It's up to us to choose the mindset to say, I'm going to shift to have an empowered living, not only for me, but for the next generation.
100% agree. And what you said is exactly where we want to go and where we want to try to have this conversation,
Yeah,
because we haven't had this conversation.
right.
We may have had it in pieces,
Mm-hmm.
in different
Mm-hmm.
parts of our life. Excuse me. You may have had it with your mom. I may have had it with my mom, and then with your grandmother. And then now we are older women.
Mm-hmm.
We are the matriarchs in the Oliver family now.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a different role. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when my sister passed away, my older sister Elmira,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when my brother was calling me about this, about this, about this. Excuse me. I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this. She did it.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. 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 No, no, no. And that's what happens. So what happens is our mindset has to be prepared for the shift.
Oh,
Life is full of shifts, right? Good,
yes.
bad, or indifferent. And life comes for all of us, good, bad, or indifferent. I am a witness to that. And so what you do is you cannot allow your mind to go in a place that's going to prevent you from staying the course. Your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions influence your actions. Your actions create your habits. Your habits come from your character, the character that we just talked about from our bloodline. And your character determines your destiny. So it starts with the mind.
Everything starts with the mind. No matter if it's about whatever decision you make in life, it starts with the mind. I
Mhm.
remember Dr. Barclay talked about when I asked her, I told her I've been trying to crack, how is it that people know what they're supposed to do financially and they don't do it? So she said, listen to what you said your parents told you. She said, everybody's got different financial programming.
Mhm.
So we had all types of programming from the Oliver family
Mhm.
that has empowered us today. And
Mhm.
I think that's something, Rhonda, that people, in life, even as we grow, we get older, that foundation that was planted early on stays there. And it's somewhere in our brain. And
Yeah.
as we make decisions, it
Yeah.
pulls from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It pulls from that. But
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
also know about being adaptable and flexible
Mhm.
to move forward as life is lifing. And
Exactly.
then even as life is lifing,
Uh-huh.
we still go back to that program if it doesn't feel right to us. And I know for me, and I go back to the core. Because
Yes.
I told Dr. Barclay, I recognize that when it comes to money, I don't shift.
Mhm.
But I said in relationships, I have shifted. I
Right.
have shifted too
I
much.
think we all have. I think we all
Yeah,
have.
we all
Remember
have
the
shit.
song? Remember the song?
What?
Everybody plays a fool. Everybody plays a fool. Okay, that's it. And
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's okay. It's okay
it
because
is okay, and that's exactly what she said.
yes,
And
yes,
she said, "It's okay." She
yeah,
said, "It's then now, what do you learn from it, and what are you
yes.
gonna do different the next time?"
Exactly, because what happens is, again, it goes back to our mind.
Mhm.
It has been, stated that we don't really have development until we're 25 years old. Our mind really does not develop until we're 25 years old, right?
Mhm.
So we're making life decisions. For me, I entered college at 17.
Me
That's
too.
still a kid. Yeah, you did too.
Me too.
We're still kids trying to make adult decisions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Think about that. So
Mhm.
we're going to make some immature decisions while being or thinking that we are adults.
Mhm.
Our minds are still developing. Our emotions, our mind can, just really have our emotions run rampant, okay? Because we're young. So what happens is life, as we stated, is coming at us. But some of it is by intentional. It's intentionality, right? It's intentional
Yeah.
because it goes back to Jeremiah 29:11. For I know
Mhm.
the plans I have for you,
Yes.
which means that some of those plans may include some challenges, which is going to be development, spiritual development, or adversity really is a bridge. Adversity is a bridge for us. It gets us to where we're going, but we didn't. I always say that sometimes in life, I discovered I signed up for some things I did not sign up for, and some things somebody forged my name because I certainly would not have signed up for it.
Yeah.
I'm
I would
serious.
agree with you that I
Yes,
would agree with you that I did the same thing. Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I
what
agree
I
with
will
you. I did
tell
the
you,
same
like
thing.
you said, the
Yeah.
foundation, and see, here's what happens sometimes.
Mhm.
We talk about our foundation, and everybody's foundation is different. For example, Oprah. Oprah came from right up the street from Macon, Mississippi. Her life was full of adversity and hard knocks and
Mhm.
the whole 9 yards. But she
Trauma.
didn't give up
Yeah.
because she said she looked out her screen door, and when her grandmother told her, "Come out here and see me hanging and washing with the scrub," how her grandmother was washing the clothes,
Yeah.
"Come out here and watch me because this is what you're going to be doing." And Oprah said in her mind, "Okay, I'm not gonna be doing that," right? So
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
to choose. See, here's the thing. It talks about think about errors that we come from. In that error, that's what she had to do. But
Yeah.
but the era that Oprah came in, she said, "I'm not doing that," right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was determined. So that goes back to where the mind goes, the body follows. So her mindset, she could have said, "Okay, grandma, I'm going to follow in your footsteps. I'm going to, be a housekeeper and this, that, and the other." She wanted more for her life. She wanted bigger. She wanted more. So what happens is we all can have that. We all can have it. It's not, the word tells us God is no respecter of persons. He's not.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
really who we position ourselves with and who's in our head, who's in our ear, hearts, minds. We have to guard our hearts, our eye gates, and our mind, right? So the
Yes.
mindset
Yes.
shift is really about knowing that whatever season you're in, also, see,
And so whatever season you're in, it may require a shift for
exactly.
that season,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
you're still always tethered to that foundation.
Hmm.
You recognize that you must shift because of the season,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you have a reason for
Right.
the shift.
Right. Right.
But you also know that once you get in it, you know that if it's what you signed up for, it's not.
Right.
And you know how to shift back.
And because we also have to
Mhm.
recognize, you just talked about how I've said this to our family. We're on the front line now because all of our
Yeah.
parents have gone
Yeah.
on to glory, right? We're the
Yeah.
front line.
Yeah.
So what
Hmm.
I do is I really try to make sure I'm stepping in the right direction, because when I look behind me, beside me, and some of our cousins are older than us, above us, we have to like what we see. So some of us are assigned to our family in certain ways, in different ways. I always say that all of us come from great stock. All of us have gifts
Yeah.
and talents. And so
Hmm.
whatever you believe is tugging at your heart, your passion and your pain will point you to your purpose. Okay.
Yeah. I
Your
agree.
passion and your pain will point you to your purpose. So
Mhm.
sometimes we may think I didn't sign up for this, but it's really about our purpose.
Yes.
So
I know because I got a call. I have been having conversations with one of my nephews,
okay.
and he asked me some questions today on a call,
Okay.
and about, his parents.
Okay.
His parents weren't married.
Hmm.
And so I said, he said, I have some problems with this and this with both of them. And I said, well, okay, I get that. I said, but let me say this. When people become parents, there's no written position description on what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Nobody gets
Yeah.
anything telling them what they're supposed to do. They do, and he finished my sentence. He said, "They do what they know." I said, "Absolutely.
Exactly.
They do what they know and based on what they see."
Mhm.
I said, "Now, I had some differences with grandma." I said, "But I got over those because she said it to my older sister when there was a disagreement about discipline for my older sister's son.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she said, 'You may have disagreed with what I did, but that's what I knew to do at
Exactly.
that time.'"
Exactly. Exactly. And so that's when you have to have mercy, when mercy
Yeah.
doesn't match, okay?
Yes.
Because it goes back to what she saw and what she was taught and what we saw and what we were taught. So what happens is you have to bring some of it with you and some of it has
Yes.
to stay back because it
Correct.
doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't serve a
Correct.
purpose, right? And so
Correct.
what you also have to do, and I tell people all the time, we can go to doctors for, go to, you know, practice therapy. It's
Mhm.
because where the mind goes, the body follows. If you have someone helping you to, um, talk about your pain points and talk about
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
what your nephew said as it relates
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
how his
Mhm.
structure was. Let's talk about that. Because at the end of the day, I always say, if we weren't supposed to be here, we wouldn't be here.
That's true.
Be dead.
That's true.
I'm serious. I know that we were handpicked. I know this because if think
Yeah.
about it, our parents did not just get together the number of times we have siblings. They didn't. Yeah, yeah, I knew the light bulb was gonna come on. I knew the light bulb was gonna come on. Right, yeah, no, they did not get together the number of times that we have siblings, right? Which meant that we were handpicked
Yeah.
for such a time as this. My daughter
Yes.
will talk about the lineage, and we talk about, the errors in life and how
Yeah.
literally we were handpicked for such a time as this because we just lost a legend, you know, Reverend
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
fraternity brother. He
Mhm.
had an assignment, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Yes, he did.
right.
From as soon as he was 17, 18, going to, I think, North Carolina AT&T
Mhm,
or
mhm,
wherever,
mhm.
and became an Omega,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then got with Dr. King. He
yes.
became I think first he was the president of his Southern Christian Leadership, chapter, and then he
Okay.
got to Dr. King, then he was the president of it for the Southern region or whatever.
It's
Yeah, so yes, he had an assignment, and
yeah,
he accepted it, and he
right,
did it.
right. So the assignment and the mindset,
Yeah,
once they line up, I think, is really vital because, we all have an assignment and sometimes it may not be what we think it is. Or
mhm.
I always say we have many MANY and MINI assignments, right?
MANY and MI,
MANY, many, and then MINI, many
many, many,
assignments.
many.
Okay?
Okay.
Many and
Yes.
many. So
Yeah.
sometimes we don't when we're in the MINI, the many, and we're enjoying it, but that season is up. Sometimes
Yeah.
our minds is still there. So you have to
Yeah.
shift. You have to
Yeah.
shift, right? You have
Yeah.
to be willing to be flexible, suitable, adaptable, forgiving, loving, kind, all the fruit of the spirits we are supposed to wear on a daily basis. Now, I'm not saying for anybody to be a doormat by no means. What we talked about learning, stages in life. Life has learning stages for all of us. I
Mhm.
said I will
Mhm.
remain a student at life. I'm going to remain a student at life because I believe that it's worth I'm worth discovering my purpose and who I am every stage of my life. And I'm worth
Yeah.
helping others to do the same. And I'm worth
Mhm.
and I believe that life is worth discovering of why people enter your life. They enter a reason, a season, and a lifetime.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
reason, a season, and a lifetime. So sometimes when that season is up and we're not ready for that season to be up, we have to shift, which means it starts with our mind. We have to say, okay, it appears that it's mission accomplished. Mission accomplished,
Mhm.
right? So that it's just that. I think it's also, um, if you here's another thing. You talked about the finance and the money. If you believe money is sacred or you hoard it or you fear it, it's a mindset. And it's only
Yeah.
because sometimes all of us have come from a background that may not have been plentiful, which that's typically what our culture has experienced.
Mhm.
Means we know
Mhm.
how to survive. but
That's true. We are very good survivors.
you're a
We're
survivor,
very
right?
good
But
survivors.
if you believe opportunity is abundant, then your mind set will shift to thinking about investing, to think
Mhm.
about, and guess what? Life is we talk about life is lifing, but life has interruptions, which means that I thought that I was going to be this way this time in my season, and I may have to start over, or may things have paused for a reason. And so, you
Yes.
have to be ready for that pause and then get ready to pick back up. I know for me, my own example, I paused to take care of my parents, and I will do it all over again. That was
Yes, I
one of
would
the
too. I
best.
would too.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, Rita, that was
Mm.
to be at home with them and day by day, and of course, growing up in the home, being in the home
Mhm.
I grew up in, and caring for them and so forth. So that was a shift. So I had to get my mind shifted to say, okay, now I'm going home. I even asked God. I said, God, what's my assignment? What am I doing there? So I literally took an apron with me because my mom had fallen. She had hip surgery, and so
Yeah.
the apron to serve, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
my mom wore apron, my grandmother wore apron, my great grandmother wore apron. So I took an apron for a couple of reasons. Because my mom had to get up and move around, and I had to sometimes have her to be ready to go to her doctor's appointment, or just move around.
Mhm.
I kept my keys to the car in there. I kept my cell phone in there. So just in case I'm not fumbling for keys. So just in case she didn't feel like saying, if I say, oh, where are my keys? She may say to me, Ron, I'm not going. I don't feel like going because, she had to
Yeah.
get up and move around with her hip, for having that hip surgery, if you will. So it was purpose driven, and my
Yeah.
mindset had to shift. And
Mhm.
and being there and remembering how we grew up and the sounds in the house, which includes songs. So we started with Aretha Franklin, Bridge Over Troubled Water, and The Soul Stirs, which our
Mhm.
fathers loved them, and
Mhm.
Mighty Clouds of Joy and Sam Cooke and all that. And in the evening it was, Al Green and the Temptations and all that, right? The
Yeah.
mindset. I had to shift from what I was doing to going back to say, I'm going to do this, right? And then life comes for us in different ways and so forth. So if you believe growth requires discomfort, lean in because it does.
Yeah. Yes. Now you hit on something there that's really powerful because we all think that as we grow, everything is going to be great. People have that fallacy in some aspects.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, when you think about it, growth had just even as you were growing as a child, you had growing pains,
Yes.
in your body physically.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
we just didn't
Yeah.
understand the powerfulness of that
Yeah.
and the connection to the mind of it,
Right. Right.
because we were going through seasons and changing
Mm.
from a young child to a teenager to a
Yeah.
woman.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we had that. And so I think that is really powerful there because this is what Dr. Barclay said that we don't like pain.
Yeah. We don't. We don't.
We don't like pain. And I said,
No.
yeah, in America, we want to get a pill, pop it, and get it away. We don't like, we don't,
Right. Yeah.
we
No.
got to have that mindset shift to know this is part of the process here.
It is.
This is
And
part of the process.
it's part of the process. It's
Mm.
part of the process because, to your point, think about, how we all came here. And some of the births that
Oh,
happened
yeah. Oh
was
gosh,
painful.
yeah.
Some may not have been. But the bottom
Yeah.
line is it goes back to the decisions that we make. Our decisions determine our destiny, right?
Yeah.
And we've not
Yeah.
all made good decisions. We haven't. We have not. That's part of life. And
Mm,
here's what I
mm.
say. God knew what we were going to do and not going to do, and he still made us.
That is true. And also I'm gonna add to that, Rhonda, in this with the mindset shift that I know today is that in all of those decisions we made and those actions that we took, if it wasn't for us, he protected us from harm.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Hmm.
And so I
Hmm.
think in our mindset that we have to also have grounded in that foundation for
Hmm.
that empowered living
Hmm.
is we have to have that aspect of faith.
Right. 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 That is so true. Faith, family, finance that you talk about, and fun.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that we should start having our family reunions to have fun, have faith,
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
finances, but be able to, recognize that it's in our future. What do we want the
Yes.
future to look like? So, because
Yes.
all of us have an example of life that we could share with everyone.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
call them landmines. Some landmines we've stepped on, and some our children and nieces and nephews and cousins, they don't have to step on them. They'll have their own
Yeah.
because it's part of their process and their development. But some of the
Mhm.
landmines, they don't have to step on those
I
because we've
agree.
already stepped
I
on
agree.
one. We know what
Yes.
that feels like, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so,
We've
yes.
got the life experience of
Yeah.
that landmine,
Mhm. Mhm.
and we can
Mhm.
help you in and that's what I think it's about with this conversation tonight and on this show being so powerful is that mindset shift that you are bringing out now and discussing as what your mission is about changing the minds, lives, and generations is that I think that is so key because what we can do with what we've done, the life experiences is cultivating our family or
Yeah.
individuals
Mhm.
with the confidence,
Mhm.
gratitude
Mhm.
to their purpose
Mhm.
because they're going to go through transitions.
Right.
We're all going through life transitions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When I started this podcast, Rhonda, it was based on two people from a class that I taught.
Okay.
Two women that were having a major transition. Their husbands were divorcing them,
Okay. Okay.
and one was losing her job at the same time.
Okay.
And that shift was difficult
Mhm. Mhm.
because the first part of that is that you're hearing that. Because, see, in the mindset, because one said, I've been married 10 years, spent 10 years decorating this house.
Mhm.
There was that attachment and that identity.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a surprise, of course, and
Mhm.
I call it was a forced exit.
Okay.
It was a forced exit because for her, there was no power in it. She didn't have any power or control in it
Okay. Mhm.
to a certain extent. Now, I've never been a divorced woman,
Mhm. I have,
so
so I can
okay.
relate.
So
I can
you can
relate.
so
I
yeah,
can relate.
and
Right.
she
I
said,
can definitely relate, you know?
yeah. So it
So,
was a
yeah.
forced exit. And, she was very upset, in talking to me. So, because financially I deal with the numbers, but I have learned through this of the emotions that come with it.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not just the numbers, as I said in the
Yeah.
opening. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
There's a
No.
lot that comes with this.
Right.
And so, I just immediately grabbed her hand, Rhonda, and I
Okay.
said, let's take a deep breath and release the pressure.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And I said, "How many years do you have in
Right.
federal government?" She's like, "I got 28." I said, "Okay, beautiful." I said, "You're gonna be able to get to retire.
Okay.
You're gonna have a pension for the rest of
Mhm.
your life, and you're gonna have your health and life
Mhm.
insurance."
Mhm.
And I said, "What did you do?" And she told me what she did.
Okay.
She worked where she prepared the budgets to go to OMB. I said, "Well, I think you have a great opportunity to have a business to contract back with the
Wow.
federal government because you know
Wow.
the process.
Mm.
You know the
Okay.
process."
Okay.
I said,
Okay.
"But that's not something you're gonna do right away."
Right.
I said,
Right.
"'Cause you come out next month." And I said, "Really and truly, you just need to let October be a month that you rest." I
Yeah.
said, "Because you do not realize how mentally exhausted you are."
Mhm. And that was great advice for her, Rita, but also sometimes we just divorce can be a discovery, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is you talked about the identity. Sometimes discovery of, again, it goes back to the reason, season, a lifetime,
Okay.
right? Sometimes it's that you can't, if you can't be married by yourself, that's it.
Mhm.
You can't. You can't. You cannot. So if that's the case, then sometimes um it's better because it's like pulling a boulder up a hill, right? Yeah. And
Mhm.
so that means that that's a mental drain on you, goes to the mindset, then it affects your body, which
Yeah.
means that affects that could cause illness, the whole 9 yards. And what you have to do is say, you can't be bitter. You cannot be bitter. You have to be better because
Yeah.
what happens is sometimes it's supposed to be because again, if both parties don't want to be married, you can't be married if both parties don't want to be married, right? And
Well,
that's
it
it.
seemed like in this case, one didn't, but one kind of, but the one what they were not going to be, which is you're
Right.
exactly right.
Yeah.
You're
You
exactly
can't
right.
be married by yourself. If the other person does not, then
Want to be
yes,
married.
it's painful. It is painful.
Mhm.
But what you have
Mhm.
to do is it goes back to what we talked about the foundation, which is with having an intimate and personal relation with God is so
Mhm.
critical. go to a place or and don't do it alone because vulnerability is there's so much value in vulnerability. Sometimes
Yes.
we think that,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that if I tell my story, people are going to look at me a different way. Sometimes you're forced to do it because you don't have a choice.
Yes.
You're forced,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And then what happens
Absolutely.
is you're helping someone else you didn't even know you're helping. I know what happened to me. When
Yeah.
when things start shifting again in my life, I start to say, okay, what am I telling the people that you're sending to me, God? He said, you tell them what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so sometimes it's not about you. It's not about you when that
Mm.
happens, right? So
Yeah.
the same thing happens from, you know, um, the decisions that we make, they are a reflection of our mindset. So you have to make sure that you are keeping your mind healthy. That's key, which means you cannot harbor unforgiveness. You cannot be bitter. You cannot look in the past and say, what my mom did, dad did, didn't do, what they should have done, da 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 da, all of that. That's bondage. So you're
Yes, it's
keeping your
bondage, and you can't change the past.
can't change it.
That's it.
Cannot.
And you
So what
saying
you guys
bondage
have
to
to
'em.
do, because we were assigned to our parents and our parents were assigned to us, find out the goodness in them because there's goodness
Mhm,
and greatness in all of us. Some of it may not have been displayed because of the mindset and the decisions that were made,
mhm.
but there's goodness and greatness in all of us. Find it, right? And so what
Yes.
happens is you then, again, with Oprah's mother was not that mother that she would have thought to be. So her father said, send her here. Her life shift and her
Yeah.
mindset remained the same. I keep going back to Oprah because of a little girl from Kosciuszko, Mississippi. You know, there are diamonds in Mississippi. I always say that. I say that to Teresa Hughes from Macon, Mississippi. I say that to her often. There are diamonds in Mississippi, and I believe that. I believe that
Yes.
because that's where my
Yeah.
roots are from. There are diamonds everywhere.
Yes.
I just see and know because I can only see what I've seen, right? Based
Yes,
yeah.
because, as a matter of fact, sorry to interrupt you, when I
No.
was away this past weekend at the Black Alumni Weekend at Mississippi State, a
Yes.
friend
Yes.
a friend that I knew knows, uh, my sister, Benita,
Okay.
and he said, he said, "You know," and he married to someone from Macon.
Okay.
He said, "You know, Rita, you all that come from that county are very, very smart."
Mhm.
He said,
Mhm.
"Y'all are very smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody I've run into are very smart, and
Yes.
y'all work and y'all get it done."
Yes.
Now what he also said to me too, I didn't really agree. He said, "But I don't see where you all do a lot to give back there." I said, "Well, how do you know that? You don't know everything that
Right.
that's going on." I
Right.
said, "You don't know what we're doing." I
Mhm.
said, "But I would agree with you. Yeah, everybody that comes out of there, those that I guess back to what you are saying, Rhonda, those with the mindset
Mm.
that had that mindset created with the purpose driven
Mhm.
have done it."
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so what you also have to say is when you begin, because here's also another one is bad company corrupts good character. So if
Mm.
I'm around
Mhm.
someone who's speaking negatively and doing wrong and wanting to
Yeah.
do wrong and all of the living in the life in that space, bad company corrupts good character. So we do have individuals that have been placed in our path, or we have family members that have experienced that. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, your
Mhm.
foundation should be enough to say, that's not who I am. When you
Yes.
find that your foundation is being modified based on your mindset, you got to pull
Yeah.
away and say, no,
That's what I told my
yeah,
nephew.
yeah,
I
yeah,
said, "Who you're
yeah,
hanging out with is
mhm,
not who you are.
yep,
You were not raised or
yes,
reared around that." I
that's
said, "So you gotta make the decision that you are that's not you and
right,
better than you." I said, "Because
right.
that's why." I said, "I'm not a therapist, but that's why you're having the struggles,
Yeah,
'cause it's
because
not you."
you are modifying who you are, which means God's not going to support that. That's the thing. He's not going to
Mhm.
support that because he didn't create that.
Mm-mm.
So we have to recognize that. But you're right. There are diamonds that come out there. Shout out to your classmate in my line, Sister Stephanie Tate Montgomery. One of
Yeah.
the things she is, I mean, great,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
smart, intelligent. And
Mhm.
we can go on and on and on as far as
Yeah.
naming the
With
folks.
that.
And I don't want to
Yeah.
not,
Mhm.
start naming and forget to name
Sure,
one.
sure.
Right.
But yeah,
But
so it even though where we because I think it goes back to what you've initially said through this. That county is not a rich county.
Right.
But in the Oliver family,
Mhm.
from the beginning of it with our grandparents and then their children, their sons and daughters, because their sons and daughters picked their partners.
Yes,
They picked partners that added value to them.
exactly. And
That added value to them.
I'll add to
And
that.
that
Go on.
huh?
Go on, because
And
you
that in
now you know we can speak about this all day.
yeah, they added value to them, but I'm also gonna take it somewhere too. I'm gonna ask you a question, then you can also comment on what I'm saying. They added value to them, and then because you know our grandfather reared very strong men,
Mhm.
and those strong men did not go get a weak wife.
No, no.
They got a
Yep.
wife that had a mind and it was a strong woman in her
Mhm,
own right that
mhm,
stood.
mhm, mhm.
To be a woman that worked and she reared, 5 plus
Exactly.
children at the same time.
Exactly.
So, but
Exactly.
they also too, from all of that, put that mindset into us. As you said, that great stock
Mhm,
that put that programming
mhm,
into all of us.
mhm,
And here's the thing about it. You were up in Ohio.
mhm.
We had cousins in Gary, Indiana. We were in Mississippi. Folks were in Alabama. Folks were different places.
Cincinnati,
Cincinnati,
Lima, Ohio.
Lima.
Yeah.
But the mindset, though, pretty much for all of us were on that same plane.
Right.
I would same wavelength. I would
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say,
Yeah.
for the most part, when we all did get together, and whenever people saw each other, whatever, I would argue that even though we were all in different places, different brothers, different wives, there was something there that was a commonality
Yeah.
in the mindset
Right.
for
Right.
us.
Right. I will say it's on for both sides for me. I'm a product of Bo Dixon.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Bo Dixon and Meyer Dixon. Everybody know Miss Janie. Everybody know Bo Dixon. And then of course my great grandparents, the Pages, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're at the store. So we couldn't wait to get there. We're driving 20 something hours just to come hang out with you all. We couldn't
Yeah.
wait. But I'm
Yeah.
so glad our parents that migrated to Ohio, but Mississippi never left them. And it
No,
never
it didn't.
left them mentally,
No,
physically,
I don't think it
spiritually,
left any of them. It
no,
never left any
no.
of them.
So with that, they passed that on to us. So
Mhm.
now we're making sure our children come down and be able to
Mhm.
stand on that soil that you talk about. Yeah.
Mhm.
And what also comes to mind is I think I put it in our family chat as relates to um, a bridge builder. So Bishop Del Bronner talked about how Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? When Isaac was born, he's from laughter. So he didn't
Mhm.
really doing things serious. But his
Mhm.
son Jacob had 12 sons. So Isaac was the bridge to making things come to fruition. So I ask our family, are you the bridge or the bridge maker? Right? And I'll ask the folks, are you a bridge or bridge maker? Whatever you are, do it to the best of your ability. Because sometimes it will skip a generation. What our parents did, we may not have taken on that baton, but our children and your nieces and nephews may have taken on that baton. It may be that we're the builder from our great grandparents.
Mhm.
So when something comes to your mind, again, the mind, find out what's the purpose because it has a purpose. It does. It really does. So I think that what we have to do is really start to communicate with our family, start to, let them know who they are and whose they are. Not just our family, because like what we're doing in Noxubee County, I love what we're doing in helping the students at Noxubee County High School with the uh, uh, formerly known as Votech, but the Career Center.
Yeah.
Shout out to our sorority sister Gwen Hughes, and Miss Wells and Tommy Stevenson and some of the others that are doing some amazing job. Just to let your friend know, they're doing some things. It may not be in the paper, but they're
Right.
doing some great
Yeah.
things here, right?
Yeah.
They're
Because
doing
that's what he
great things.
said.
Yes.
Everybody that comes from there, he said, "Y'all are really smart."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah, we are, and we're hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
Our mindset was set to learn
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to get in there and learn it, and not just learn it surface level, but learn it at a deeper depth." to
Mhm.
more depth.
Mhm.
And so then you put that knowledge then with the mindset that we were given
Mhm.
and was programmed and
Right.
cultivated,
Right.
then that gave us the ability then to accelerate in whatever we did.
Right.
That's what I think.
The word cultivate is so important because it's a garden.
Mhm.
All of us had a
Yeah.
garden. All of us had a garden growing
Yes.
up. I talk about
Yes.
the garden. All
Mhm.
we had a garden in Cleveland, Ohio. We had a garden, and our grandparents, on both sides. For me, we
Yep.
we had that's how they lived. So we need to go back to the garden. What are we planting in our mind? Because
That's exactly right.
what
Yeah.
you plant will grow. If I plant, um, love, joy, peace, gentleness, kindness, forgiveness, helping people, that's going to grow. If I
Yeah.
plant the opposite, that's what's going to grow. And so when I look behind me, then I can't say, "Why are you doing this?" Is because that's what I planted, right?
Yes.
And also
And you
think about.
Mhm.
I'll say this, and you'll jump in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not what's wrong with you; it's what happened to you.
Yeah.
Happened to
Yeah.
you, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah. What
That's a
happened to
different
you?
way mindset thinking there.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happened to you?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who was in your ear to make you believe that you are not this great person? And so you're living a life that is a polar opposite of who you are, right?
Right. And that's
Because
exactly what I said
you
to you.
allow someone to tell you,
Mhm.
"Oh, you were told this, but no, let me tell you who you are,"
Yeah.
which is the
Yeah.
opposite of that. And if
Yeah.
you're not strong enough, so that's why you have to have a strong mind,
Mhm.
not in the sense of not being able to compromise, or when I say compromise, meaning that it's not just my way, the highway, but
Right.
you have to have a strong mind to recognize when something is coming in my direction that's not going to be me or the people I'm accountable for, responsible for, accountable to. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yes.
You got to have that. You have to have that because you have to pass that on.
And that's
You have that
okay.
thinking.
And that's okay
Hmm.
because that's part of the conversation I had this morning
Yeah.
with my nephew. And
Yeah.
he said to me, he said, "So in some aspects, you have to love people from a distance."
Yes.
And
Yes, you
I
do.
said I said,
Yeah.
"Yes, you do."
Yes, you
I
do.
said, "Yes, you do."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, "You have to because if it is disturbing your being
Your peace.
and your peace,
Hmm.
then yes, you do. You
Hmm.
get to choose how you do it.
Amen.
You
You
get
do.
to choose
You
how
get
you
to
do it."
choose. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you get to choose.
the goal is to get to a place that you have peace, no matter what it is happening. And again, life comes at us. It really does. And I think it's by design because again, vulnerability has value. The more I'm here on earth, Rita, this
Yeah.
17-year-old girl that hit Jackson State campus would not have thought that. Okay?
Yeah, and I was just getting ready to get that was the other thing I wanted you to get into is let's talk about the value and the vulnerability.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
we have probably in some aspects, we've all protected ourselves in
Yeah.
some way,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and kept that vulnerability to ourselves in some and depending on who it was, we allowed the vulnerability. But I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Value in the
There's value
vulnerability.
there. But you have to be careful about who you allow
Yeah,
access to that
that's true.
because some people can use it against you. Well,
Mhm.
try to, I'll say that, because nobody has control over that, right? But you have to be careful about who you are vulnerable with,
Yes.
as relates to where you are in your life,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
everybody may
Mhm.
not get it.
Mhm.
Everybody they might get it, or they're not supposed to. You have to
That's
have
true.
the discernment. That's another word. The mindset and discernment. You must really tap into your discernment to
Yeah.
say if it's if and we have intuition, all of us do. They always talk about the women's intuition, but I'm hoping that men have it too, you know. But
They have
women,
something rhyming. I
yes,
mean,
yes,
Rhonda, call me
yeah,
rhyming, Rhonda.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have something. They
yeah.
do.
They
They
do.
do.
So we have to do that and then surround yourself around people that are um, trying to do well, for themselves and for others, and move in the direction that's similar to what you're doing, right?
Like-minded.
Yeah,
Like-minded.
like-mindedness is
Yeah.
so critical
Mhm.
because if you
Like-minded.
are with
Mhm.
someone that's pulling you in a direction that is opposite, again, polar opposite of your foundation,
Yes.
then you say,
And
you know
that can
what?
happen with money too.
Of
So,
course. Yeah.
particularly, when you get into relationships, marriage,
Hmm.
you have this financial program, they have this financial programming, and it's about how do we bring it together?
Right.
Because, I had a financial couple on last week, and, they live in San Antonio,
Okay.
and he said this. He said, "First and foremost, Rita, does the man have a vision for the relationship?"
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
said, "Does he have a vision for the relationship?"
Right. That's key.
He said, "Because if he doesn't have that,
Hmm.
there's nowhere he's taking y'all."
Right. Because you cannot follow a parked car. You can't. You cannot. It's just that. And see, what happens is you have to recognize why you are getting together with that person. If again, it goes back to the thinking of a kid. No, you can't because
You're right.
no, I'm serious, Rita. What happens is root for our brothers and our sisters. I do.
I
I
do too,
really
Rhonda. I do
I
too.
do
I
because
do too.
I remember our bishop from our family church, Bishop Trimble. He said, "Just Christianity and a relationship with God is so easy till sometimes it's stupid." You know, because we make it complicated. If you're talking about in a relationship, you have to die to self. You cannot
That's true.
show up and expect someone to say, "Okay, I'm just going to follow you, whatever you want," and have this narcissistic, both sides, men and women. You cannot be
Mhm,
that and expect
mhm.
success. You have to be woven and come together like we described our parents. And we
Yeah.
know that life came at all of them too.
Oh,
But at
yeah.
the end of the day, they had a mindset to say, no, I'm here. We're gonna do this. Because it sounds
Yes.
when you say your vows, yes,
For them, Rhonda, it was a covenant.
it was that's what I
It
was
was
gonna
a
say.
covenant.
It's a
It was a
covenant.
covenant.
It's how you enter because you cannot enter into it lightly. But if you're a kid and not realizing what that means, because you may think when you are young and or even however we're hoping that you're supposed to grow mentally as we grow physically, right?
Mhm.
So what you have to do is say, like you said, what's our vision for our family? What are we doing? What's our
Yeah.
purpose? What are we going to
Yeah.
pass on to our children, the next generation, the whole 9 yards? When we look
Yeah.
behind us, do and will we like what we see? Here's what I say. In marriage, it says for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, for better, for worse.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
say, I'm not going to intentionally bring worse to you. We
Yeah.
should not intentionally bring worse,
That's right.
right? Right?
Right.
So that means
That's a
that
that's
you
a
have to have
whole mindset shift there.
that's a
That's
whole
a
mind,
whole mindset shift.
whole mind,
The right shift. The
right?
right shift.
Right, exactly. And even in relationships or businessship or familyship, you
Mhm.
know, our goal should be I always try to practice um when I the conversation between me and someone else, I'm hoping I'm leaving that person better. And I'm hoping that
Yeah.
person leaving me better. Our
Mhm, mhm.
conversation should be seasoned, like the word says, salt. We are the
It should
salt of
be
the
a
earth.
it should be an even gift exchange that you gave
Exactly.
them a gift and they gave you a gift.
Exactly.
So and that's a mindset shift people need to start doing because, there's so much in some and maybe it's changing now. So much is being where people just wanna get to people, like networking, Rhonda. People
Yeah.
wanna get to you to get your card to get something from you,
Mhm.
and it's not even. We should all have an even gift exchange.
Exactly. Exactly. And then
Yeah.
also, let's not be in I want our culture to make sure that we have the mindset of um we have each other's back. Have that foxhole mentality. Not
Yeah.
envious or jealous of anyone or, talking we should not be having, especially the season that we're in our life. Nobody should be having this, girl, let me tell you this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
what is that bringing? How do you feel about that? Right? Are you good with
Yeah.
that? Are you good with that? That means that you haven't grown. So your mindset is still there. We should not, I think it was was it Frederick Douglass that talked about raising a man and making sure that child is you can prepare a little boy, and I'm paraphrasing, but when you get to a man, if you haven't been where you've been doing the work you're supposed to be doing as a kid, it's hard for that sometimes, unless you say, I'm going to change my mind, unless you say, I'm going to do that. He also talked about, or someone said, as relates to, of course, the verse tells us, when I was a child, I thought as a child. Now that I'm adult, I put away childish things. Are we going to put away childish things? mentally, physically, spiritually, right?
Financially and
Financially,
financially.
financially.
Every day can't
Right,
be a day can't
right.
every day financially cannot be a kid at Christmas. That just can't.
Right. And so what we also have to do is shift our mind to say, how about we don't get the toy, but we get the stock, right?
Yeah.
Learn to
Yeah.
begin to teach
Yes.
them
Or
because
do a
those
balance of it, a toy or a stock or what
right.
toy and stock or whatever. Yeah. Do a balance
Introduce
of it.
them
That's
to
a
that
great point. Mhm.
because what happens is, again, where the mind goes, the body follows. When we were growing up, again, the era that we came from and our parents did, they were on survival. So they did not have conversations around the table about stock options and this, that, and the other, and how to invest. That wasn't because they were trying to keep food on the table. They were trying to make sure all was well, a roof over our head, clothes on our back, whole 9 yards. And so it's that. So what we have to recognize that now that we are where we are, and what we should make sure others know. What I know,
Yeah,
I'm so big on that. You see what I place
absolutely.
in our chat, in our text with our family.
Yes,
What I know,
absolutely.
people will know. At the end of the day,
Absolutely.
it's time for us to start having the mindset shift. Again,
Yeah.
changing minds, changing lives, changing generations,
Every
so that
generation.
that will be normal conversations around the dinner table, right?
Particularly now, like you said, because we are the matriarchs now.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
I am the matriarch in
Yes.
my family now.
Yes.
So, and, as I told you when it first happened, I didn't want the role, but
Right.
I've gone into the role now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've
because
been.
my nephew was calling me.
Yes.
I've gone
Exactly.
into the role because
Exactly.
I never forget one time when I was saying something to him, Rhonda, and I was saying this. He said, "Auntie, you sound just like grandma." I said, "I am grandma. I
Right.
am her. I
Right.
am her." Yeah.
Right. Right. You're gonna hear some of that of me in you because you gotta pull, you gotta have in your tool belt,
Yeah,
and I always
I gotta
gotta
pull
pull,
from the stock.
and you
I
have
gotta pull
to.
from the portfolio. I'm
Right,
pulling
you
from
have
the
to.
portfolio.
You have to, because again, you're gonna take away. We come from great stock. Everybody
Yeah.
does. It's
Everybody
just
does,
that
yeah.
what was presented to you, right? If
Mhm.
a portion of someone that was your parents, grandparents, great grandparents, whoever was over you,
Yeah.
whatever they presented to you, just like how I think sometimes when people don't feel loved and someone enter their life and show them I love you, or how it's foreign to them, so they're going to back
Yeah.
off. They're going to
Yeah.
say, no, I wasn't taught this. I wasn't
Yeah.
taught this, right? So,
Yeah.
because I was in an environment that did not show me love, and someone comes along and show me love, I'm going
Mhm.
to, I'm gonna pull away from that. So that's why
Yeah.
it's so important
Mhm.
it goes back to therapy because it did not start with us. How we inherit
No.
family trauma shapes who
Mm-mm.
we are and how to
Mm.
end the cycle. We got to end the cycle because it did not start with us. Because sometimes people will think I'm going to carry how I feel and the pain points in my life carried around like Linus did on Charlie Brown with a blanket. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
Y
no, let that blanket go. Or the luggage. Don't bring the luggage, right? Bring the best
Yeah.
luggage with you,
Yeah.
because all of us again come from baggage. So
Yeah,
bring
and
up,
we come from baggage from really 1619 when the
yes,
initial slaves
yes,
were brought here, our
yes, yes,
ancestors.
yes,
That's where
yes,
the
yes,
baggage starts
yes,
from.
yes, yes.
And in that
Mhm,
1619 or the from 1619 to 18 whatever those years, Rhonda,
mhm.
we are talking about being stripped of humanity.
Exactly.
Stripped of
Exactly.
humanity.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then once that ended, then you went into Jim Crow and all of that. So when you think about it, our parents, our uncles,
Mhm,
born in the 1900s from
mhm.
1910 or not whatever, 1930s. So their perspectives and their mindsets were so different as they were rearing us.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
thing was about us being better, but also protecting us at the same time.
Right. Survival. They were in survival.
They were survivalists.
Eh,
They knew how to manage it and they knew how to survive it. But then God also gave them discernment and wisdom
exactly.
to
Exactly.
say to us, to
Mhm,
plant in our mindset,
mhm,
the programming
mhm.
that we want you to go to college and get a career.
Right. But here's the thing,
Huh?
because, and I say it now, everyone may or may not do a cattle call to college.
They may
They
not do
may,
a kettle call
no,
college, but that
no,
in the 60s,
that was it.
I'm trying to go the 60s. In the 70s, when I was getting out of high school in the 80s, that was it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was it. That was the mindset then.
Right.
I definitely am flexible and adaptable that may not happen
Right.
but that
Right.
was it
That was it.
then, and
And
that's what we did.
because it was not given to us freely. So when they opened the door, they cracked the door and said, "Okay, you all can come in a little bit." Then we wanted to come in, right? And we want to
Yeah.
say that we belong because we do, right? We belong.
Mhm.
And so what has
Mhm.
to happen is, again, it goes back to the mindset. If you allow someone to feel like, if you allow someone to make you feel like you don't belong, that's a problem too.
I
Right?
agree.
That's
And
a problem too.
I don't let that happen
Right.
anymore. I don't,
No. And it's
because
not
I did.
arrogance. It's not arrogance. It's confidence. Because I want people
It's
to
confident.
recognize, I want people
Yes.
to understand, I am not saying to be arrogant by no means. Be
Mm-mm.
confident in your
Be
walk.
confident.
Be, be,
Absolutely.
be, be,
Be
be
confident.
humble as well.
Yes.
Humility is
Yes.
key. Humility is key.
Mhm.
And so you have to recognize all that. Then you have to, again, surround yourself, get a mentor, get a coach, get someone that's going to help
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
just like David had Nathan, he told him, he was his good friend. I'm not going to let you just keep going down this road and not feel like
Mhm.
something's going to happen. Right.
Mhm.
But we have
Yes.
to have people in our ear and our life
Mhm.
that's gonna say, "You know
Yeah.
what? That's speaking from their heart," right? Because you want someone coming from the
Mhm.
heart to say,
Mhm.
"I think that you should consider this, that, and the other," right? Just like
Yes.
they have
Yes.
coaches for our athletes. They go back
Yeah. Absolutely.
to the bench, they scribble on that, you know, they get to play together. That's what life
Yeah.
is. It's
That's what
it's
it is.
it's full of, blank canvases and rewriting it and starting over
Mhm.
sometimes, and it's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay
And it's
because what
okay.
you do is you find out what's in you. I know for me, it helped me to discover all of who Rhonda is, right?
Mhm.
And I was grateful for that, right? I was grateful for that. So I say don't shy away from the pain in your life because it definitely has a purpose. It's helping to develop you. And then surround yourself around people that um, are going to pour into you and vice versa. So to your point, what you talked about from slavery, we have to purge and pour, Rita. Purge what the
Yeah.
negativity, the
Yeah.
slavery mindset,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pitting against each other mindset, and pour
Yeah.
into us. We got this
Yeah.
togetherness. Together we can
Yeah.
take it. Together, stop feeling like, um, we are less than because we're not.
I absolutely agree
Mm.
because with that, we're purging the trauma
Mhm.
of the
Right,
slavery,
right,
and then
right.
we've got to take the lessons, because what came out of that everyone knows in this country is this about Black people. What was touted and promoted in the media, because a lot of people, foreigners, when they come to America, think that we are lazy. There's
Right.
no way in the world folk working 18 hours a day are lazy. I want to see. And the
Right,
people not lazy.
right,
No.
right,
Uh-uh.
right.
And so
Exactly.
we have to take, because what I see is that it gave us the resilience,
Mhm,
uh,
mhm,
robustness, and a
mhm,
vigor
mhm,
for for thinking and doing to
mhm.
keep going.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
what it gave us, and it
Yeah,
continues to
yeah,
give us that. And
yeah.
that's how we need to look at it, because I can remember when you talked about the vulnerability and the value, Rhonda. I can remember what going to Mississippi State.
Okay.
So my math score on my ACT was not that, it was an okay score. So
Mhm.
I had to go, I didn't go right away into college algebra. I had to go to this other class first.
Okay.
And you know what I was thinking? Going to that class that first day, that it was just going to be a lot of Black people in there.
Okay.
I got to that class, and when I saw all those white people in that class,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I said, "Oh,
Mhm.
okay." Mindset shift right there. I
Yes,
said,
yes,
"Okay,
yes,
I'm
yes.
not. We're not the only one here."
Right.
It was just, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's that thinking
Yep.
of where I
Right.
was, and then thinking this was this for me because of who I am, my skin color. And I got to open the door. I said, "Oh,
Uh-huh,
okay."
uh-huh, uh-huh.
All right,
A
I'm good. I'm great. This is gonna be great. And
and
it moved, and then acceleration was nothing for me at that point,
got it. See, because your
because I
mind.
was having a belief about myself.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And what happens is because of, we have technology now, and because of what we see and hear,
Mhm.
especially
Mhm.
for our Gen Zs and X and A, B, C, D, E, F, Gs, I
Yeah.
call 'em, okay?
Absolutely.
you have to recognize that um, social media is just that, social media. Some of it is to, good stuff, but some of it is not. And you
Just to
have
pull
to,
you into something.
it'll
Mhm.
pull you into, you have to have, have discernment. So what happens is, what kind of branch am I building? What
Yeah.
fruit am I producing? What shade am I providing? Because that means you have to cover some people sometimes. And somebody got to
Mm.
cover you, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
garden am I leaving behind? If we begin to think that, what is my assignment for
Yeah.
who I am today and me being here? What am I building? What am I producing? What shade am I providing? Because trees provide shade, right?
Yes.
Think about
Mhm.
it. When we're down, I love going and sitting under the tree. I love it. Okay. So, and what garden am I leaving behind? Because a branch does not exist for itself. It exists
Yeah.
to support growth.
Yes. Because when you see a tree branch, then you see leaves and starting to sprout from that branch, which then will create other limbs.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So, a blended
Yeah.
brand, what are you building? So, I want us
Yeah.
to have the mindset of not me, 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 me. If I have me on my mind, I'm not here for me. I am not. We are not here for ourselves. We are here to develop ourselves, to grow, to make the best Rhonda I can be. But
Mhm.
I can't do that by myself. We do
No.
need each other.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
what we have to do is make sure that we, again, surround ourselves around like mind, like spirit folks. Because once you start to have someone, let's talk about the bad apple. Think about it when you have a bag of apples
Mhm.
and one of that apples start to go bad,
Mhm.
it's starting to go bad with the other apples.
Yeah.
Right? It's the
Yeah.
fruit. What fruit?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So I say, let's make sure our mindset is mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. And what you do is you begin to identify individuals that can help you mentally, help you physically, emotionally,
Yes. Because there's
financially.
nothing wrong with help.
Right.
There's nothing
No,
wrong with help.
no,
And
you
there's
have to
nothing
wave your
wrong
hand
with
and see
discussing things. Yeah.
it's intentional to have you to be humble at all times because life does come for us. And then also I want the Gen Zs and millennials and ABCDFEFGs, all of them to recognize that, you're not alone and that
Mm.
um, you'll look at this and go, man, I wish I would have thought differently. So what I say to young individuals is, I want you to think this way, but enjoy life at this age in a good way, because there's boundaries and there's everything should be done in moderation as well, right? Don't
Yeah.
that you have to try everything to say I live.
That's exactly right. That is a great
Okay.
point.
Don't
That is a
say
great point.
think you have to try everything to say I have lived. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful there.
Because it could
And
cost
that's
you.
what's driving them on
Mhm.
social media is
Yes.
that I gotta do this. I gotta
Yes.
do this. And
Yes.
because I have this phone in my hand, I can do this. This is all they're seeing. I mean, you have a case today that was being tried in court against Facebook and
Right.
Snapchat and TikTok
Right.
where the
Right.
lady is saying it's causing addiction with children.
Right. Exactly. So what you have to do, we have control over that.
We do,
We have
I
to
agree.
get back to, remember we were together for Thanksgiving. We played games, we sang songs, we did
Yeah.
karaoke, all of
Yeah.
that. We have to get back to playing games.
Yeah.
We have to get back to communicating in front of our children, in front of our
Yeah.
grandchildren, those who have grandchildren, nieces and nephews, whomever. We have to not let social media raise our children because it
That's right.
messes with their
Mhm.
mind. It really, really
Yeah.
does. I
Yes,
read
we have to
something.
get back to conversation because the
Exactly.
2 coaches that were on my show that counsel couples, she said, "Here's one of the first things that they need to do." She said, "They need to put the phone down."
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
They go to dinner she said, "We go to dinner, we don't have our phones." She said,
Yeah.
"I look in the restaurant, people sitting there, both of them at the table on the phone."
Right. You
Where's
can't
the
do that and
conversation?
expect
That's why it's such a problem. But one of the problems in relationship is lack of communication
lack of
because they're
communication.
not talking.
Right, exactly. So what we have to get back to the basics. Having
Mhm.
dinner with your family,
Mhm.
that's what we did. And accountability and responsibility and letting them know that, you be intentional about being present. When you're talking to your children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews, look at them, let them see that you're present. You're not just saying, "Oh, okay, what you say? Okay, yeah."
No,
Yeah.
and even as adults,
Yes.
ourselves,
Yes.
present when we're having a
Yes. Yes.
conversation with each
Yes.
other, face to
Yeah,
face. We
right,
shouldn't be on the phone. We should be
right.
looking at the
We
other
should be looking
person,
at each other.
having a
Exactly.
conversation.
Having a
Those
conversation.
are how, I guess, Rhonda, as a coach, you would call it. That's how we can reframe these patterns.
Uh-huh.
Or
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
reframe them. Because what we're saying is, what we came from, how things evolved, that going back to what used to be is not a bad thing.
No.
It's really,
Right.
really the healthy thing now
Yes.
because I
Yes.
think about, it seems like it, I can't validate the numbers, but it seems like with technology, we've had more issues, particularly with younger people
Mhm. Uh-huh.
with technology.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We've got
Uh-huh. I agree.
issues more of, because it's the comparison,
Right.
the,
Right.
stealing your joy when you start looking outside yourself,
Right.
and then that is then going against you, then you start to shift and change your mindset because of what you see
Right.
outside of yourself, what you see on this phone, and then it caused so much, um,
Depression,
confusion and chaos and depression.
identity.
Yes.
Also, what you wanna do is be the star in your own story. You're worth discovering how great you are. That's what I tell the young people that we serve. Be the star in your own story. They have gifts and talents. Let them do that. You're doing this. Stay focused. Stay put on blinders and stay focused because
Yes.
you will begin to feel like, "Oh, I should be doing this." Just because that is going well for them, that's their assignment,
That's right.
right? Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
their assignment. So
Yeah.
we want to make people again go back to your mind. What are you thinking? Be careful again. Guard your what you're thinking too. Guard what
Mhm.
you're watching. Guard your ear gates, eye gates, and your heart. Be
Yes.
slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen.
And that will keep you emotionally aligned
Hmm.
and will keep you empowered in your
Exactly.
life for
Hmm.
short-term
Hmm.
and long-term
Hmm. Hmm.
decisions.
And recognize that we are not here for ourselves. That we are supposed to be givers of our gifts and talents and be able to help others and then vice versa. Be willing to be teachable, coachable, and
Mhm.
trainable.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
that's for life. I don't care how high we go in life. I'm
Mhm.
still going to remain humble and say this is an
Right.
assignment given to me, which means this assignment can be taken away from me as well, right? So, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. Real talk. So that but so that you can be able to I'd like to see everything that has my name on it to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then that's going to help others. That's my passion. Is when I look behind me, beside me, above me, you know, um, I like what I see because I'm putting off that fruit. What am I building? What shade am I providing? Good
Mhm.
shade, not bad shade. Because some people can be shady. Good shade with that tree. I'm covering you,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so because it said love covers a multitude, right? But we're
Mhm.
not going to be where again a doormat. We're not going to be that. Your nephew recognized that sometimes I need to step back and love these people from afar because they're it appears that
It has been
mindset
detrimental to him.
my
Yeah.
mindset is being jeopardized
Yes.
as a result of me thinking that because sometimes people think that we can save people. If you're not willing to save yourself, if you're not willing to change, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying if you're not willing to do that, if I'm not willing to do that, then that's going to happen. I have to have the mindset to say this is what I'm willing to make sure that I continue to go down this path and be
Mhm.
willing to work for it and be willing to do it. That work is good stuff. No, don't shy away from that. Work
Yeah.
smart, not work
Yeah.
smarter mindset, if you will.
And then also what you just said is that first the person has to save themselves, and
Mhm.
when they start saving themselves, then God will save them. That's how we
Exactly.
got to look at it.
Yes, yes.
That's how we gotta look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can do the work he's told us to do, but we
Mhm,
can't do
mhm.
all of his work.
Right.
I think that's a good thing. That is a practice there. We can do his work that he's told us to do, but you're not him.
Right, right, right. So what happens is, seek a place of peace, and it's going to take work to get there. You have to purge your thinking. You have to purge what was, again, a negative thinking that was taught to you or said to you
Mhm.
or said about you. Because sometimes individuals have been in families where they've said, "You're not gonna be anything, you're not gonna be nothing, just like your dad, just like your mama." You know, they're putting that on them, and they're thinking, "Well, they say I'm not gonna be anything." They said, but again, it goes back to Oprah. Oprah grandmother said to her, "You're gonna be a housekeeper." Oprah said, "No, I'm not." And others, we can have other examples of people, and
Yeah.
that have said, "I'm not gonna do." Michelle and First Lady and President Obama, others that have said,
Mm.
I, because I always say your geographical location does not determine your destiny. You can be from a small town, but you don't have to have small town thinking, right? Where the mind goes, the body follow. If I believe that I'm supposed
Yeah.
to be jealous of these people in this town, or I'm supposed to talk about this person, or I'm trying to make sure this person doesn't excel.
Yeah.
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 Because I'm from a small town.
Mhm.
But then I had as I grew and then I got exposure, I wanted to leave the small town.
Mhm.
And I left the small town and went to college. Then from college, I wanted to go to a bigger town. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that required mindset shifts along the way.
Yeah. And
Yes.
it's also your purpose driven path and your for the plans I have for you.
Yes.
At the end of the day, whether you come from a small town, medium town, or large town, whatever it looks like, is really about your mindset. Because you can be from a, larger city, but still be connected to someone that's going to cause your mindset to not be what it should be. I think that
Mhm.
I still enjoy watching Andy Griffith. I do. I do. Well, I
I
do.
did,
I
and I
do.
girlfriend that laughed at me because when I come in from the gym, let's see, what is it? Perry Mason, it's
Okay.
Matlock,
Yes.
and, it's a YE50,
Okay.
and it's the Waltons,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Gunsmoke,
Right. Yes.
and, it's what, Bonanza
Yes.
and,
Yes.
the Rifleman and all that stuff.
Yes.
But I grew up watching that,
Uh-huh.
but, when I as a child, I grew up watching it because that was it, TV, that was entertainment,
Right. Right.
when all stuff today. But I watch it differently now,
Okay.
as
Okay.
a different mindset.
Okay.
'Cause a
Okay.
lot of things that were in those shows and those scripts are what's happening now.
Here's what's happening now. Let me tell you, you talk about the Waltons. The father, John Waite, said that when he was selected for that role, he was a drinker, a smoker, and he was opposite of who John Walton played on the show.
Yeah.
So his mindset changed. He said he began to be John Walton on set and off set. Isn't that amazing? He said
Ex
that. He said that because I'm
exposure,
exposure, but
exposure.
he changed his mind because at first he came on the
Yeah.
scene and he was, smoking, drinking, do whatever, and John Walton wasn't doing that, and so he said to
Mm.
himself, "Well, if I can play John Walton, I
I can
can
be.
be John Walton." And see,
Yeah.
that's what we have to say, if I'm pretending to be this person just to manipulate someone, then why can't I just be this person?
Why can't I just be this
Why
person?
can't I be this
Mm.
person? So that
Why
was
can't I just
big when I heard it because I love the Waltons too. I do. I think
Yes,
it's,
yeah.
you know
She was joking. She's like, "Oh my god, the Waltons?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, yeah,
There's a lot that you learn in that,
yes,
from those family values because a
yes,
lot of that stuff happened when I was growing up
right.
with
But then
my parents, so
also they talk about history. They talk about when Pearl Harbor happened.
they talk about yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
When
Uh-huh.
people went off to war and this, that, and the other, that stuff was real. We had war family members that did that,
Yeah,
that was there,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
um,
And I kinda understood some of the stuff that happened
mhm,
and why it happened when I
yeah,
think about it with our family,
yeah.
with our uncles and everything, and
Yes,
just
exactly,
different things.
exactly.
And
What are
then,
things? Yeah.
I can identify because one thing that the mother, Olivia, she was like our mothers. She
Uh-huh,
was raising the children, she was
uh-huh.
washing, cooking, and cleaning,
Right.
and and having everything ready for the family at the appropriate time.
And they
That
have
is
the
what mothers
grandparents in
do.
the house with them.
That was that's
That
exactly
was
right.
awesome. That was
Just was
awesome.
an awesome thing.
Yes,
And
yes.
we went to visit our grandparents, but there was a time, Rhonda, when granddaddy came to live with us.
I remember
When
that.
he Yeah,
I
so
remember that.
so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
but then also granddaddy was my babysitter.
Yes, I remember
I
that. I remember
He
that.
was my
Yes.
babysitters.
Yes.
But, he there was so much that was learned there. I
Yes.
was smaller, but my brother, BJ, says of the things granddaddy told him and Rex and Billy that
Mhm.
he still remembers today.
Good. Yes.
He
Yes.
lives by.
Yes.
That's the programming.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's that
I have
mindset.
we have, video footage of of your brother, BJ, driving the truck. He was probably 7 when he was driving that truck in the field, and your father and Uncle Mac, Daddy was filming. Rex and Boo, I think, was on there. They get that hay, put it up on that truck.
Yeah.
The hay put on that truck.
Yeah.
That was teaching them agriculture. That was
Yes.
teaching them togetherness. That was teaching them work ethics, the whole 9 yards. And when we would come down there, we, like you said, our parents did the same thing. We saw the family unit. They intentionally brought
Yeah.
us there 2, 3 times a year, and we couldn't wait
Yeah.
to get there. And we even asked
Yeah.
them, "Why did you all leave?" Because we loved it so much. But there was no job opportunities, and so then
No.
again, the
Mm-mm.
mindset.
Yeah.
Someone told them to come there as a young
Yeah.
couple, and life can be a little different. But like I said, they moved to Cleveland, but Mississippi never left them. So,
No. I think even with the Great Migration in the South, the lady wrote the book, Isabella Wilkerson,
mhm.
The Warmth of Other Suns,
Yeah.
about the migration from the South,
Mhm.
from people that left Mississippi,
Mhm.
Louisiana,
Mhm.
going to Chicago, Detroit,
Right.
all those places.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
never left any of them.
Yeah.
It never
Yeah.
left any of them because what they learned, their mindset had the work ethic,
Yep.
and it had family unit.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
It had the
Mhm.
family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you think
No.
about it, Yonda, as we wrap up here,
Mhm.
when I look at it with our family,
Mhm.
and I look at it with people from our parents' era,
Mhm.
you knew nothing. You heard nothing about a divorce.
No. 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 No.
It might have
Mhm.
been whatever, but they
Right.
were together.
Right. But I will say that I think that it's so important again to make sure that when we say I do, you realize that you're there for that person's there for you. I want to see you become the very best you can become.
Mhm, mhm,
And I know you want to see me be that's how it should be. It should be
mhm.
because then you show the people that you're assigned to. And that's why we have some blended branches because we have blended families now. We have
Yeah.
people that said, okay, I did not get it right this time, this, that, and the other,
Mhm.
but I'm looking to get it right this time. So blended branches is also about families coming together that may have been created in this season with someone else, this season with someone else, but we're coming together as a blended branch. I think that what happens is we all got to grow up. Bottom line, we got
We
to.
all gotta grow up, and
Got
what I got for you tonight, of course, is that the mindset is all. Where the mind
yeah.
goes, the body's gonna
The
follow.
body follows, and so
Brain is controlling it,
we
and
want it.
that and we need to purge, but we
Mhm.
need to pour back the right
Exactly,
stuff.
exactly,
Purge the negative and pour in the right
mhm.
stuff,
And
and
be
that will then help us to be more confident.
exactly.
That will help us to get clarity where
Yep.
we need to.
Yes.
That will
Yes.
help us then to when something is kinda off for us to reframe
Mhm. Mhm.
and go back to our foundation to reframe it.
Right.
Because when something's not right for you, your body and your mind is gonna tell you
Right.
because you're not feeling it.
But I also want people that may have not
Mhm.
grown up in an environment that was healthy for them mentally, physically, spiritually,
Yeah.
emotionally, that they don't gravitate to that. That again, it goes back to we were picked for a purpose. And sometimes you may have come through a bloodline that you're thinking, why was I assigned to this bloodline? Find the good in that. Keep pressing forward because you do have some examples of it not being as great as you would have wanted to be, or you were not protected like you thought you should have been. And
Yeah.
so I'm encouraging everyone, don't hold on to that, that you now can get help mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and from a financial perspective to make sure that you purge whatever pain that you may have encountered in
Mhm.
your formidable years that
Mhm.
however you came through, it doesn't mean that you have to remain that way. Be willing to do the work because if we keep doing the same thing and we pass this on to the next generation, nothing will change. So let's be accountable for our actions, for our mindset, and say, I don't want to have this keep coming through. However, we got here, and all of us have moments that it was not the very best of the best of the best. But I will tell you, we are still here. And because we are still here, let's fight for our mindset. Let's fight for mental health. Let's fight for making sure that when we see some people around us that may need our help, that we reach out and help them. but not be a doormat, but don't allow your past to dictate your future. If it was not a good past, you still have time. We still breathing. You still have a time. We have a choice. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. That is just absolutely great, Rhonda.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And I know our parents, grandparents, and great grandparents are smiling down on us. Yes,
Yes,
indeedy. So
yes,
thank you,
yes,
my sister and my cousin, for allowing me to come on. And I just think we're just having a conversation. We're just talking right.
yes.
We're just talking.
I think it's just many conversations that need to be
Yes.
continue to be had about many
Yep.
different things
Yeah.
to help people. And so
Exactly.
now that this with podcasting,
Hmm.
can be heard around the world and we
Yes.
don't know who it may touch.
Right.
And we are
Exactly.
happy it does touch you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so what I want to say is that for you, Rhonda, what I will do in the show notes is I will connect them to your links with your website
Okay.
to contact you
Okay.
for whether it's business or if it's for the transformational coaching that you do.
Awesome.
So
Thank
that
you.
they can contact you for that. And then
Awesome.
I'll put that in the show notes.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. And we could go on and on because we're Olivers and we love to talk.
Yes, yes. True, true.
Yes.
So, what I want to say is to all of you listening, thank you so much for joining us for
Yeah.
this powerful conversation. I hope that reminded you that, what we talked about, so many things, as Rhonda said, spiritually, financially, emotionally, physically, all of that
Mentally.
is part
Mentally.
of mentally,
Mhm.
is part of the mindset to bring you to your future as
Yeah.
part of your journey.
Yes.
And that will help you to determine how boldly you step into it.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree.
So if today's discussion resonated with you, make sure you follow our guest for more tools, insights, and transformational guidance. And the link will be in the show notes for this podcast when it is published. Okay. And
Awesome.
then also, as well, when it comes to mindset and strategy, if and for particularly for your finances, if you're ready to gain that clarity and build
Mhm.
confidence and create that financial roadmap that supports the life and the legacy that you envision. I invite you to book a financial clarity call with me,
Mhm.
because your next chapter deserves intention, alignment, and empowered action. And we can help you build that. So I want to thank you all for listening today. I want to thank you for sharing and subscribing to the podcast. And remember, when you plan it, you can build it and live it with confidence.
Mhm.
I'm Rita Oliver, the money strategist. Until next time, take care.